I think really having no pressure for me is an ideal day. It's funny because my whole career is pressure.
Yeah.
Because I work best to deadlines, as
Yeah.
most writers do. But a day without them is a real joy, and it's so boring. But what I really love is having the time just to sort of pootle around and not do anything, not have to, send emails or answer phone calls or any of that.
Welcome to episode 118 of the Souls to Soul Care for Trauma and AuDHD podcast. I'm your host, Menezes Cunningham. And as you listen to today's episode, my interview with author and journalist Flic Everett, I want you to think about yourself always. You know what's right for you. You know yourself better than anyone else. But I think as I've expanded the kind of people I'm interviewing, it started out very much self-care professionals. But so many of my guests, and I know how important reading is in my own life, and writing, it's lovely including more artistic people, more creatives, more activists, more writers. And I just love the variety of answers. And I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, but Flic's episode is it's delightful. I really enjoyed talking to her. But as you listen, ask yourself, what are you already doing that is good for you, that helps you connect with yourself, that helps you feel the joy of being alive, that feels good for you, but that you're not necessarily valuing as self-care? Maybe you think it should look a certain way or be a certain way rather than going with what feels good. We're wired to move towards what feels good and away from what doesn't. I hope you enjoy the episode and let me know what you're doing for yourself in the comments or email me, and have a delightful week. Okay, so thank you so much, Flic Everett, for joining me. I've been aware of your work since I was a teenager, probably, like since early 20s, and we've been online friends for probably a decade or more.
Yeah,
But you do amazing work, and you're newly diagnosed ADHD.
yeah, yeah.
And
Thank you for having me as well, and I'm looking forward to talking about it all.
yeah, and also you have now, as well as the journalism, you are a novelist. Do you want to say a bit about how I'm expanding this out so it's not just therapists, not just neuroscientists, not just reading is such an important form of self-care for so many people, using our imaginations for good, and you write crazy crime. But
Yeah.
do you want to say a bit about how you got into it and
Yeah,
what you're working on at the moment and anything you want to plug?
thank you. Thank you for asking. Well, I have been writing novels for about 5 years now, and I got into it because I had a novel, a crime novel, that I'd written about 10 years ago. And I saw a call out on what was then Twitter, which I've
Yeah,
now left.
of
But
course.
back then, I saw a call out from a digital first publisher
Mm.
saying, have you got a great idea? Have you got an existing manuscript? And I thought, well, A, I think so, and B, yes, I have. And I sent it off, and the editor got straight back to me and just, oh, really like this idea. Can you expand it? There was loads of editing to do. And eventually I got a 3-book contract from them.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was so excited. This was for what was called the Edie York series, about
Uh-huh.
a young woman in World War II in Manchester called Edie York, who is an obituary writer on the newspaper, and she gets drawn into solving murder cases during the war. I absolutely loved writing that. Great fun, loads of historical research.
Yeah.
And then I got asked to write a Christmas crime novel for Penguin. PRH, which was amazing, obviously, like dream come true. And that was Murder at Mistletoe Manor. That came out last year. And this year I'm writing another, well, I have written another one for them called Death on Holly Island. and I'm currently writing the next Christmas crime for 2027 for them. So
Amazing.
I've sort of, yeah, thank you. I've sort of found a niche in cozy mysteries. I mean, I don't know about the word cozy because my books aren't really that cozy, but
Yeah.
as far as the genre goes, that's what they're
Yeah.
called. You know, it's a bunch of people trapped trying to discover who the killer is.
Yeah.
So I guess they are, you know, cozy mysteries. And I'm also writing a darker book for a different publisher that's coming out next year as well. And I'm in the middle of edits for that at the moment, as well as doing all the normal
All the
journalism
yes.
stuff.
And I'm also like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking I can't wait until they get optioned and we get to see them
Oh,
like
tell me
as
about it.
films as
I
well.
would love
And
that.
yeah,
That would be great.
and I'm also thinking you inspired me because you moved to Scotland from Manchester before I moved from Essex to Westport to Ireland. And
Yes.
even though I didn't really know you, I just knew you online. But like you and Natalie Trice moving to Devon, it was kind of people moving. It's encouraging, it's inspiring, you sharing your journey. And thank you for that as well.
Oh,
So,
that's so kind of you. I mean, yes, I think sometimes we come to a tipping point, particularly as we enter midlife. I think I
yeah,
was 44 when I moved,
yeah,
and I met somebody, and you know, my previous marriage was over, and I just thought it's now or never. You know, my son was grown up, and I'm so happy that I moved. I really, really am. I love Manchester. I go back all the time, but I
yeah,
love living in the West Highlands, and it's been the very best thing for me, I think. So,
yeah,
yeah, there does come a point where you think if I carry on, it will be like this forever, but I could change everything, you know.
yeah.
And I think
That's
all of us did that, didn't we? You did that too. And
yeah,
there does come a sort of moment in life where you think, I've still got, hopefully, you know, I've still got a
yeah,
lot of years to live. Is this how I want to live them? And if the answer is
yeah.
no, it's time to make a change.
Absolutely. So, people online, not in Scotland or in Manchester, but where would you like people to look for you online?
Well, I don't have a website, mainly because I'm technically an apt and I can't manage one. But I do have an Instagram, which is FL Everett _author. And I'm also on Facebook as Flic Everett. You can
Yeah.
find me there if you need me.
And your books in bookshops and
Books in
like,
bookshop.
yeah,
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 they are.
libraries
They're
and
on the big, horrible site
yeah.
that we can't name, but sells books.
Ah,
Yeah.
so with the self-care framework I use, so the feel bit, it's feel, love, heal. The feel is what we might typically think of as like self-care, the stuff we do to help us feel better, the regulatory things when we have the bandwidth. Then the love bit is more like working with the love archetype where we don't need to change a thing about ourselves. We're already lovable, we're already worthy, we're not too much, we are enough, we're part of the divine, part of nature. And I ask about like how you get into that state because that can feel harder. I know it's the bit I struggle with most. It's easier I'm going to go for a swim, that will help me feel better.
Yeah.
And then the heal part is the turning what turns your heart, turning turning what hurts your heart into action. So the kind of community care, especially with what's going on in the world at the moment,
Oh,
people needing community, people needing safety. Who holds you? How do you feel that? And like you hold that for so many people with your writing. Um, how I ask about ideals care and actual, like if you could only do one thing. So I'm saying all of this in one go, but I'm going to ask separately. So
sure.
when it comes to the more regulatory, the like you're thinking to yourself in an ideal world, what self-care practices, including reading, if or like whatever it is, if you could design your day
Yeah.
as you would love it for yourself, what would that include?
Yeah. Great.
So that's a bit of a like starting with the morning and like what?
So my ideal day would be I'd probably be in Scotland. My family from Manchester would be staying nearby so I could see them, or my son might be staying in my cottage as well, because
Yeah,
I always like when he stays nearby, and I know he's okay and we can hang out together. I think, see the dogs. The dogs always jump on the bed in the morning, and that's a really lovely thing. And I think really having no pressure for me is an ideal day. It's funny because my whole career is pressure.
Yeah.
Because I work best to deadlines, as
Yeah.
most writers do. But a day without them is a real joy, and it's so boring. But what I really love is having the time just to sort of pootle around and not do anything, not have to, send emails or answer phone calls or any of that. I just want to be able to go for a walk because we live by a beautiful loch. It's called Loch Orr, the clue's in the name. And I can see it out of the window actually as I'm talking to you. It's right outside the window. I like to walk down there,
Yeah.
contemplate the mountains, Ben Cruachan at the end of the loch. It's beautiful. Obviously, I'm assuming this ideal day is a sunny day because it does rain a lot in Argyll. Light, sunny with a light breeze, so there's no midges. And then I would probably meet a friend for lunch.
Yeah.
It is always fun. I love to do
Yeah.
lunch now because I still like going out in the evening sometimes, but I think as I'm getting a bit older, lunch is such a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like, oh, I've got to get back before bedtime and the dogs need to be put to bed and all of the things you have to do as a middle-aged person when you go to bed. I just think lunch, great. And then you can go to the shops or whatever afterwards. And I do like a look around the local charity shops. That is my favorite thing to do. I'm a very cheap date, but I love rummaging. I used to run a vintage shop in Manchester, and I still have those jeans that say,
Yeah.
look for something amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a treasure hunt every week. You never know what you'll find. And I love vintage china and interesting clothes. And I look at old pictures and think, would they look nice in my living room? And, so I think I love it because I think charity shop rummaging is a bit like going to the top of the faraway tree. You never know
Oh.
what land will be at the top and
Yeah.
what sometimes it's a
Yeah.
disappointing land and you don't find anything decent, but always you find, a book you want to read for 50p or,
Yeah.
CD that you've forgotten about, so I
Yeah.
love that. And then, I'd probably just hang out with my husband, Andy, because I really like him. We get on very well. And we'd probably, just watch a great Netflix drama and have a lovely dinner.
Yeah.
So I don't ask for a huge amount, I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, fly me to Paris, take me to
Yeah.
Dubai. I just love a day of pottering with no pressure, basically, and enough money to buy little trinkets if I find anything that I like the look of.
Yeah. And you share like kind of some of your treasures. I went to see the Magic Faraway tree the other day.
Oh,
It
I
is
love
that like kind of lovely, but some of your posts, and also when you say pottering around, and I realize everyone, like, we have our days where we can't do anything, but
yeah.
you seem to have extremely productive days where, like, you talked about baking a wedding cake at last minute for someone today.
Oh
You've
my God, yes.
redecorated so much, like you show pictures of what,
Yeah.
like, I'm imagining your pottering and my pottering are very different. Like,
I mean, this is a really good point, and this isn't because I'm amazing or have tons and tons of energy. It's just because I really fear boredom, and I think this is an ADHD thing for sure. I'm at my most happy and relaxed when I'm doing
yeah,
something, not
yeah,
exercise. I don't love
yeah,
exercise at all. I really actually quite actively dislike most exercise. But if it's something that I can do with my hands, if it's something like decorating or sanding a piece of furniture or baking a cake, I feel very calm and at peace when I'm
yeah,
doing those things because I think because a lot of my job is sort of quite vague and nebulous, it's making stuff up or it's
yeah,
trying to find people to interview about something. And I think a project where you can see a beginning, a middle, and an end very easily in the
yeah,
course of a day is a real joy to me. I get that satisfaction of I've done this thing, I've baked this cake, I've painted this table. It looks so much better. I'm
yeah,
addicted to those like furniture flip videos on Instagram.
yeah, yeah,
Where people take a knackered old piece of furniture and make it look
yeah,
amazing, but they
yeah.
always speed it up, and then I have to remember, actually, this took 4 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Whereas
But
I'm
I think for me, seeing your stuff is the like there's such a gulf between what I imagine I'm going to do and the reality, because I don't have the patience to do the sanding and the proper prep.
sure.
I'm too impulsive, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same though. I know, I mean, obviously we all post the best bits, don't we? I don't days where I'm just lying around procrastinating and not doing anything or feeling annoyed with myself and not
Yeah,
getting on with stuff, So I think I just post things on social media because I'm proud that I actually finished
yeah,
something or did something. But
yeah,
you don't see all the days and all the hours when I don't do the thing and I'm just,
yeah.
moving about feeling hopeless.
And I was gonna say, like, so you've talked about your ideal day. If you were ill, or if you were traveling, or if you could only do one thing, like to look after yourself, to help yourself feel better, what would that be in any given day?
Oh, I know the answer to this. I always, always have to have a very hot bath in the day. And
Okay.
I always have to read in the bath. I like to read a brand new, really great thriller. Nothing makes me happier than getting into a very hot bath with a new thriller by an author that I know I love. It's just a joy.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
yeah, and it's even better if nobody's going to knock on the bathroom door and go, "Have you finished?" I just give me as much time as I need to be in the bath, slowly
Yeah.
cooking, with a new Jewel or Andrea Mara or, a great thriller writer that I know
Yeah.
will take me away somewhere else. It makes me so happy.
Wonderful. And moving to the love part, what helps you remember that you're worthy, lovable, not too much, enough, part of the divine, part of nature? Do you do anything to get you into that kind of heart space, head space, or
Yeah,
when do you
yeah.
feel it?
I think as well, I mean, I'm not going to harp on too much about ADHD because I think nearly all midlife women that I know feel unlovable and difficult and hard work, especially when menopause strikes. All of us have the capacity to feel a lack of confidence and a worry about how difficult and hard to live with we can be. And when I do feel like that, which is quite often, I love going for walks. I really do, because I live in such a beautiful place. Like I say, the weather can be very unpredictable. And sometimes I will admit I do not go for a walk because it's pouring and I can't bear the idea of being freezing and wet. But when it's not, it is
Yeah,
just very, very restorative and beautiful. And I always feel better, always. And it's such a
yeah.
cliche, isn't it? Oh, go for a walk and you feel better. But I actually do. I actually do. Because, it just fills your eyes with beautiful things.
Yes.
And that's what matters.
Yeah,
You just stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking, oh, I haven't seen that flower before. Oh, a
yeah,
squirrel. And your life
yeah,
is suddenly put into perspective. And you think, well, nature is so huge and so dramatic and so amazing in so
yeah,
many ways that it stops you obsessing about your own problems. The other thing that I do is I go to yoga as regularly as I can,
yeah,
which is always that regularly, as my lovely, lovely yoga teacher and friend Lisa will attest.
yeah.
Um, but when we do go, I usually go with Andy as well, because we both love going.
Lovely.
Just a little pocket of time where you don't think about anything,
Yeah.
you just do what Lisa tells you to do. She's a fantastic yoga teacher and everybody's doing it together and it's so peaceful and she plays great music and I do absolutely love going. But sometimes, I've got a deadline or I'm away or someone's coming to stay and I don't get to go. And then I do feel the lack of it when I haven't been for a while.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the
One.
two things that kind of, I suppose, center me and make me
Yeah.
feel less in myself and more part
Yeah.
of something bigger and better.
I love that. So I don't even need to ask about the actual, because it is that. And I'm thinking, I know, like, I live in like beautiful west of Ireland, and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to go out for a walk or a bike ride. Oh, you can't make me, the PDA, pathological demand avoidance. And
Yeah.
as soon as I'm on the driveway looking up at the reek, if you can see it, if it's not too rainy,
Yeah.
it's like, why would I resist this? I
And
already feel whole. I feel healed. I feel, and
yeah.
just, yeah. But thinking, even like when you say about like the changing of a flower, like you're really lucky, I'm really lucky with where we live, but anyone anywhere can look at a flower or look at
Oh,
just
yeah.
remembering we are tiny. Like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I lived in Manchester, I lived in the suburbs, it
yeah,
was quite built up. So there was a Sainsbury's around the corner. It was not like an idyll of nature, but
Yeah.
go for walks along the River Mersey at the weekends, not every day, probably like I do now, but I would go for a long walk. And you can still see nature, in
Yeah.
most cities. And I don't want to be sort of suggesting that everybody has access to nature, because sadly, I very much know that everybody does not. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can't afford the transport to get there or
Yeah.
whatever. But for a lot of people, it is possible to access nature, even if
Yeah.
it's just plants in pots, or
Yeah.
your neighbor's garden or whatever. And I think you can do that sort of micro looking at flowers and plants. And I recently bought a microscope, which I'm really excited to use, because I want to know what's going on in plants and
Wow.
grass, all of those things. I had one when I was a kid and I loved it, and
Yeah.
I forgot all about it. And then I saw one in a charity shop and thought, wow.
Ah, brilliant. So, taking a very quick break and be back with the episode soon. Would you like to work with me without actually working with me one to one, whether that's to do with your location or your budget? I've created the Adventurers online programs so that you can focus in on specific issues you want to improve and benefit from my really holistic approach, using everything from yoga and breathwork and meditation to coaching and psychosynthesis and NLP and EFT tapping, crystals, psychoeducation, looking at some of the neuroscience around some of the issues. And I have been putting together online programs to help you with everything from trauma and AuDHD to going for glimmers to stopping pulling your hair out if you have trichotillomania, to getting more organised, sleeping better, dealing with anxiety. There are so many options, and for €33 a year, you get access to all of it. What happens is you sign up, you email me what your wish list is, and I will then send you 3 suggestions for getting started, and I will use your answers to support my own AuDHD brain in finishing the online program that is best for you. It might be something you've already identified, or it might be something that I recognise from your answers. And as more and more are completed, you'll have access to all of those as well. And I'm really excited about these offerings and these ways of working in really focused, kind of laser focused ways. They're mainly 7-day programs, but I don't like telling people how to do anything. The persistent drive for autonomy, otherwise known as pathological demand avoidance, you know what's right for you. It may be that you want to experiment with all of the tools. It may be that only certain tools resonate for you. Again, you know yourself best. Let me know what you are most keen to begin with, and if you have any questions, and you can find out more at soulstosoul.ie/adventures. So looking forward to hearing from you there. Or if you just go to the website, there'll be links, and there'll be links in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening to my first ever podcast ad, and welcome back to the episode.
I can now
Yeah.
study the markings on a cat hair. I can look at the leaves that I find beautiful, and I think things
Yeah.
like that, you don't need a lot of it to be able to really look at it and see
Yeah.
it, and feel pleased by it, I suppose. Like when I'm in Manchester, there's a lovely little park that I go to walk in quite near my parents' house, and it's so pretty. And, the flowers change with the seasons. There's people with their
Yeah.
dogs. And I just think being outside and looking at plants and flowers and trees is everything, really, when you're stressed. It's the very
Yeah.
best way to gain a sense of perspective. And the act of walking as well, just walking along, helps you
Yeah.
process as well.
Absolutely. So, moving to the heal part, you've already spoken so much about community, from your dogs to your husband to your friends. I'm also thinking, Julia Cameron with the Artist's Way and the Artist Dates. It sounds like you build that into your life with the charity shops, with the
Mm.
with the nature, with the. It sounds like that is very holding for you as well. In an ideal world, like you've already said so much, but what communities nourish you? And you've also just set up a community online, haven't you? Which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
Female
Um,
Freelance Society, freelance
yeah,
female writers.
FFS. I love it.
I good name.
But
Because I think, yeah, that
yeah,
things like that are so important. I mean, I set huge store by my friendships. I'm an
yeah,
only child, right? So I grew up without anyone my age in
yeah,
my house. I didn't have cousins my age. So friendships were always everything to me from a
yeah,
very early age. Men and women. I suppose as I've got older, it's tended more towards female friendships. I used to have a sort of equal mix, but I think
yeah.
you really start to be drawn to other women who are going through what you're going through in midlife to some extent. And that's no diss to my wonderful male friends, but I think only other women sometimes understand,
Mm.
things like menopause, things like, lack of confidence, maybe, and all of that. So I think my female friendships are so crucial to me. One of my best friends is a psychotherapist,
Mm.
and obviously she can't therapize me because that would be unethical and wrong. And besides which, why would she? It's her job. But she has taught me some very important concepts and ideas over the years that I've been able to use in
Yeah,
my own life. And I think I listen to her. So it's a sort of quid pro quo. But as well as my real life friendships, I've always very much relied on online friendships too,
yeah,
particularly since moving to
yeah,
Scotland. And when people say, oh, it's online, it's not real life, you don't know these people, I think, well, that is entirely wrong. I've got a friend who used to be a journalist I met online, who's currently very ill. And, I've been to see her and we
yeah,
talk every single day and I send her gifts and we chat and, we vent to one another because she's great for me as well. I'm not
yeah,
just you know, looking after this woman because I'm
yeah.
wonderful. She gives me probably more than I give her.
Mm.
I'd say she's one of my best friends, and we've literally met in person twice.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter because we have a rapport and we get on and we get each
yeah,
other. And I think there's so much belittling of online, and there are so many problems with it. Of course, there are. I hate the tech bros, I hate the billionaires, like we all do. But at the same time, I am so bloody grateful for Facebook and Messenger and
yeah.
Threads and
And
Instagram
old Twitter before it
and
got
old
evil.
Twitter.
Oh my God, old Twitter was
29.
amazing. Yeah.
Exactly, because I have truly met some
Yeah,
great friends through those apps.
yeah,
And, they're still great friends and we've met and we've stayed with one another. And I
yeah,
just it's not that different. If you're dating people you meet on Tinder or Hinge, why
yeah,
can't you make great friends through social
yeah,
media? I
yeah,
believe fully that you can, and
yeah,
rapport is rapport wherever you meet. So that for
absolutely.
me is a massive community, yeah. And I do sometimes start up groups because I think it's great to have that space, especially when you work alone and you work from
Yeah,
home, freelance, because you can go days without seeing anyone. Uh,
yeah,
Whereas a group like FFS, it brings together all of the great women who are working in freelance journalism, or who are writers, and naturally we have things in common. We get on, generally speaking.
yeah,
So I think platforms like that really help us to feel less alone, I guess. And
yeah.
in terms of local community, I met tons of new friends through the yoga classes I was just telling you.
Wonderful. Yeah,
uh, yeah, and that was kind of just an organic growth of
yeah,
getting to know someone through the classes each week. Then we'd make friends. And then a few months ago, I did some creative writing classes at the local village hall, met some lovely friends through that, and I think people introduce people. When you live in the country, I don't know if you find this, but
yes,
people are very good at introducing you to new people who've just arrived in the area or
yeah,
neighbours, or I
yeah,
think quite a strong sense of community anyway in small rural
yeah,
places like where I live. So that's
yeah,
lovely. So yeah,
yeah,
it's like you say, community is very important to me and it always has been. So I kind of sort it out wherever I've been.
yeah. We had Mark Carney Village Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, visit the village yesterday because his
Oh,
grandparents were from. So it's 4.5 kilometers outside of Westport in Ahagawa, but his
oh,
grandparents immigrated to Canada over 100 years ago, and it was
wow.
just amazing because when I moved here, like I live in heaven. I've been so welcomed, and it always astonishes me. Like I'm an immigrant, but I've been really welcomed. But
Yeah,
the
same.
um it was amazing. It was just such a gorgeous day. And what they'd done with like the village itself before I could drive. That's another thing we have in common. You learnt to drive late. You were an inspiration there as well. But I couldn't cycle. Sorry, I've got cat hair because Maeve was very
All of
she
that.
um it's an uphill cycle to the village and it's more flat into Westport. So I was thinking yesterday about how now I can drive and I do want to get more involved in, even though Westport's a gorgeously small town and I'm involved there, it's just there's something extra special about the tiny village and it
Yeah,
was just so joyful and yeah. um,
yeah, totally.
I don't want to, I always feel evil saying like about the one thing, like but what one community would you say as, and you could say, I don't want to do it because it feels evil, but what is the most important community of care for you?
Oh, I suppose in some ways it's true. I mean, I adore my new friends. They're all wonderful and I love them to pieces. But I would say there's some truth in the saying, there's no friend like an old friend, isn't there?
Mm,
People who've known you from youth, who've
yeah,
seen you through all your iterations, all your changes. So I suppose one of my very closest friends, she's also called Eve, actually. We met when we were 12 at school and we're still incredibly close. We've been through everything together. And I suppose my little community of very old friends back in Manchester, they still come and stay, and I still go and see them, and they mean the world to me. And that is not to say that newer friends don't. It's
yeah,
basically, though, I think when you have someone who's known you as a sort of awful 14-year-old and they've also known you as a 54-year-old, that is quite special. And they're
yeah,
still, amazingly, they're still there wanting to be your friend. And that is incredible
yeah.
to me.
So that leads me on to my last question about if you could go back in time to younger you, maybe as an awful 14-year-old, maybe any other time, what love, what wisdom, what compassion would you like to share with yourself?
This is
Send
such,
yourself.
yeah, go on. It's such an interesting question because people sometimes ask this on threads or social media, what would you tell your 16-year-old self or whatever? And I always think, well, whatever I told myself, I would not have listened. And I think that the journey is the journey. I sort of am reluctant to give my younger self advice because if I hadn't done all the
Yeah,
things that I've done, I wouldn't be here.
yeah,
Um, I couldn't say don't get pregnant accidentally or, don't balls up your Oxford interview by getting drunk the night before or any of the things that I did because they've all led me here in
yeah,
different ways. And so I
yeah.
know that's a massive cop out.
No,
I mean,
it's not. Not at all.
I suppose if I was going to say anything, it would be to be less hard on myself, to
Yeah,
understand that my brain maybe didn't work quite like other
yeah,
people's brains, and to not
yeah,
beat myself up quite so much
yeah,
about it over the years when I didn't know why that was.
yeah,
But again, if I had known, things would have been different. I would have had a less rackety, less interesting, in some ways, less fun life, I think. There's a lot of things I wish I hadn't done, but they are all, it sounds really, ridiculous, but I think they've all made me realize things or helped me learn things or made me realize I should never do that again.
yeah,
So I think now I was all right. I was weird and difficult and a bit bad tempered and a bit, all over myself, but I was all right. And, I got myself to here. So I must have done something that was okay.
wonderful. And I think just even recognizing that, and I love that, of course, our 16-year-old selves wouldn't believe us or listen. But yeah, it's been, as expected, a joy talking to you. Thank you so much. And there'll be links in the show notes to all of your books and your Instagram. Do you want to mention Lisa's yoga class in case there are
Well,
Highland listeners who could benefit? Like,
she teaches on Thursdays and Sundays at Craignish Village Hall, and she is the best teacher ever. So if you're nearby, you can come.
ah, absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been great.
Before you go, please take a moment to ground the episode by just pausing and scanning your parts, all your parts, from the soles of your feet to your soul. So you may want to keep your eyes open, you may want to close them, but planting your feet firmly on the ground, lengthening through the spine if that feels comfortable for you, letting yourself feel held by the chair or whatever it is you're sitting or lying or standing on, and taking just a moment to scan your whole self, your whole body, your whole energy field, and ask yourself what you're going to do for yourself right now. It might be as a result of listening to the episode, it might be something else, it might be a nap, it might be something to eat, it might be some kind of movement, but let yourself ground, let yourself get into the habit of connecting with your inner wisdom and notice what you need and give yourself what you need. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you haven't already and would like to, please like, subscribe, comment, engage across the platforms wherever you may be accessing this. And you can also email me, eve@soulstosoul.ie. Thank you for listening. I look forward to sharing more next week.